Do it now.
Do it, you bitch.
We are going to play a game. It's called Who is Your Daddy and What Does He Do? Who is your daddy?
Which Schwarzenegger ran for president?
I don't think he's eligible. No, I'm serious. He was from another country.
What the fuck is the fucking bar for being a president?
Well, apparently it's pretty low nowadays. R.I.P. America. All right. I think it's time to do this. You want to do this? I think we should do this.
Let's do this. Let's
make internet history.
Make internet history every week.
I'm gonna make you famous, and I don't mean famous like that time that all your dick pics leaked out.
The fappening for me.
the Bartell fappening.
Yeah.
Just like pictures of you reading like Jane Austen novels. With you just like hanging out. It's like Jesse's dick as a bookmark.
Mm-hmm. Listening to fucking Tribe Called Quest.
What's the scenario though? All right, compose yourself, Mr. Bartell.
Will do.
This is happening whether you like it or not.
This is not monkey business.
Welcome to the Dead Air Horror and Genre Podcast.
Mr. Pop.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Air Horror and Genre Podcast. I am Jeff Konopka, and tonight I am joined by the lovely, mysterious, book-slinging dude, Mr. Jesse Bartell.
Coming live from my bang van.
He slings those books like motherfuckers be slinging rocks on the corner.
That's right. You need that brownstone? I got that Dan Brownstone.
Except instead of crack, he's got that new J.K. Rowling.
That's right. Come get the Harry Potter.
And we're here tonight. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about things that we saw on TV, things we saw at the movie theater, things that we saw, well...
in our daily lives.
Yeah, probably that. Maybe some inappropriate things that we saw on the internet. Maybe some dead people. You know, the usual bullshit. And then we're also going to talk about the new movie in theaters starring Dave Franco and Emma Roberts.
Birth of a Nation.
It's called Nerve, because one-word titles are all the rage. And it's a really confusing title to me because we used to have a radio station out here that was called The Nerve.
Did they play, like, alternative?
Oh, yeah, when it came out, it was right in the middle of all that, like, bullshit, like, Godsmack and like fucking grunge, and no, I was probably even before that.
That's a shame.
Like post Nirvana, like when you had just like every band was just like, yo, we're wearing flannel and we're alternative.
we sing like this, yeah.
So we're going to talk about that movie. But first off, if you have not listened to our show before, we usually get together once a week and broadcast live on the interwebs in all of their glory and talk about a movie. As I said this week, that's going to be Nerve. If you want to find more episodes of the podcast, you can do so by finding us on any of the podcast feeds, I guess, that are out there, or podcatchers as some people call them. that are out there. One of the most popular being iTunes, which we are on, but we're also on Stitcher, and we're pretty much everywhere else that I think. Or you can just go to YouTube and search us out on there. Or better yet, just go over to our website, deadairpodcast.net, and you can stream the shows off of the page there if you would like to. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or want to send Jesse dick pics, you can send those to feedback@deadairpodcast.net. That's an email address. And I would really encourage people to email us, because every week I'm like, man, I hope we got some emails to read on the show. But
I hope some weirdo sent us something.
Just anything you want. You could talk to us. You can ask us questions on there. Do whatever you want on there. And if you want to ask us questions, you can use the hashtag #DeadAirPodcast on Twitter, and we'll get those as well. And we'll read them off. Or if you don't want them read and you just want to talk dirty to Jesse, you can just tell us that you don't want us to read it on air. We probably will anyway.
Yeah, we will not respect your privacy.
But Jesse likes to be talked dirty to, so...
Talk dirty to me.
Somebody... Please put him in his place. So that's a thing. I guess other housekeeping, what's coming up next week, we are going to be reviewing Suicide Squad, I believe. Which is probably not the last that we're going to have conversation about that movie tonight, because the internet is currently very angry again.
The internet's exploding.
The internet jizzes its pants all at the same time when a Marvel movie comes out. When a DC movie comes out, the internet just melts down.
Yep.
That's pretty much the gist of it, but we'll have a little bit more discussion on that later. Yeah, I think that's really it. There's nothing else big news coming out. I believe after Suicide Squad the following week, we're probably going to do some Wes Craven retrospective stuff, because there's no movie coming out, I don't think, next week. So might be able to get our good friend James Harris back for that. We will see. I'm not promising anything because it all depends on how things are going with him, but we're trying. So that'll be a good time. And I'm sure this time I got to check with Chad, though, because since we're talking about Suicide Squad, so he got pissed off because when we did our Ghostbusters episode last week, that I didn't invite him to be on it. And I was like, well, we weren't even going to review Ghostbusters, but then Jesse didn't see Lights Out, so we had to review Ghostbusters. And he was like, oh. So I have a feeling that he's going to want in on this one because he's big DC guy. So Chad, if you're out there listening at all, this is your invitation to make sure that you remind me to ask you to be on that show. I will try to remember, but life and adulting just makes things hard to remember, and drinking a lot probably doesn't help either.
Memory recall.
So I don't know, we may or may not have a guest for that particular episode. Last week we did do the live tweet, the terror tweets for Deathgasm, and that was fun.
Yeah, how'd that go?
That was fun. I got pretty drunk and then remembered how awesome that movie is. And
it's a great movie.
My kid was up with me because he didn't want to go to bed, and I was like, well, dude, I got to watch this movie, so if you're not going to bed, then you're going to have to watch it. And he's like, okay.
Work with me.
And he watched about 20 minutes of it, and then like all of a sudden I remembered why he shouldn't be watching this movie.
There's a lot going on in there.
There's a lot of, well, and then luckily he was in bed before the sex toy fighting.
Yeah.
But that movie's pretty great. So I believe the movie that we are going to be doing for this month's terror tweet, which is done in conjunction with Fright Rags and Bloody Popcorn. So you can follow those guys on Twitter at Fright Rags and at Bloody Popcorn, which is Ben Scrivens and Joanna Scribala. And I think on the 26th of August, tentatively, is going to be the date for that. And the August film is going to be Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh, man.
So you can expect all sorts of fucking nonsense happening on that show, because Michael Caine and Mario Van Peebles and Banana Boat and a shark that chases people across oceans to come and hunt down a family of people. Because Jaws 4, aka The Revenge, is a masterpiece of cinema. And I'm not even kidding. I love that movie. So it's going to be fun rewatching that. Plus, I figured it's an appropriate way to end summer because we're going to be getting into fall. I think the movie that we're going to do in September is going to be Slugs, the movie, because it's coming out on Blu-ray. So that should be fun. And then we're going to have all sorts of fun with the holidays coming up on that. So anyway, you can join that if you're on Twitter. Just follow myself at deadairjeff. You can follow Jesse, even though he never participates with us because he's a little bastard. He's at Destroy Superman. And we use the hashtag terror tweet in order to do that. And basically it's us live tweeting the movie as we're watching it and usually drinking. And there's usually inappropriateness. And then at the end, everybody gives virtual hugs and it's fun. So I think we've mostly been doing it on the last Friday of every month, but I guess it just kind of depends on when everybody's schedules are free. So it's a good time, and we're going to keep doing it because why the fuck not, right?
Hey, if it's a good thing, make it last.
That's what I say. So
we're only here for a short time, Jeff.
It's true.
We're living on borrowed time.
In my case, I'll be lucky if I make it to next year. So
right. No, for sure.
Especially with this fucking heat, dude.
I know.
What the fuck? Global warming is real.
No, it's okay, man. If we just talk about global warming now, Emperor Trump will just decapitate us.
Emperor Trump?
Mm-hmm.
In between his eating fried chicken on his airplane with his plastic silverware.
And kicking babies out of rallies.
I don't even know. Like, man, we couldn't, like, nobody could even write
the last
satire.
The last 3 days of the Trump campaign.
Not even the last 3 days, dude. Any of this. Any of this, that we would have like a fucking presidential candidate that's just like what the fuck? My kid looks at me the other day and he goes, "Daddy, what's wrong with that man's hair?" and I was just like, I don't even know where to start.
You're like, that's the least of his problems.
Exactly. But I mean, my kid doesn't understand nuclear war. So
right.
That was another thing that came out today. Was apparently he asked several times why we can't use nuclear weapons.
And
I said, well, if anything, you need to vote for somebody else just so that we're not all dead. And I'm sorry if you're out there and you support Trump, but wait, frankly, if you support Trump and you think he's amazing and awesome, I don't know if we would get along at all.
But it's okay because he'll bomb North Korea or something.
Like it's super okay to hate Hillary Clinton, and it's super okay to hate like any of these other politicians, but like, come on, guys, like. But it's hot as fuck out here, man. My grass is all dead in the front lawn. I walked out there with no shoes on the other day, and I felt like I was walking across one of those fucking beds of needles that those weird mystic people.
Tony Robbins followers do.
Yeah, shit like that. I don't even know. That guy's got a documentary on Netflix, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that guy.
Homeboy's crazy.
Is he? Should I watch that?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the documentary. I've known him for a long time and seen stuff from him for a long time. Not known him personally. I've just, he's got this weird like cult thing going on.
Just that time that you were sexting him though.
Yeah. And I was like, I love that you're like almost 7 feet tall, bro.
And then he just sent you pictures of his dick with a nail through it.
Yeah.
And he said it died on the cross for you.
Yeah. And he's bludgeoning it with a hammer. Yeah. That's my boy, Tony Robbins.
But it is seriously hot out here, dude. And I don't know how to handle that because I'm used to it just being really cold because of the area of New York that I'm from. And I don't know. I'm just hoping that we get fall soon because I can't handle this shit anymore. My refrigerator out in the garage is about to break, I think.
It's like...
It is, man. It got up to like 45 degrees in there the other day, and I had it on full, which is usually enough to start freezing things. But because it's like literally 95 degrees in my garage right now, it's like impossible to try to keep that thing cool. So
poor bastard, just working on overtime.
So R.I.P. my refrigerator because it's probably
R.I.P.
gonna
that
be
fridge.
That fridge though.
What do you
No
keep in
freezy
there,
pops.
like venison.
No, keep
No
beer in it.
freezy pops.
It's literally a fridge that is just full of beer.
And freezy pops.
There's a 6-pack of Coke Zero in there right now. But,
all right.
But there's kegs there on the door. There's a whole bunch of bottles, and I keep my yeast in there.
Yeah.
So that I can make beer because I'm too poor to buy beer right now, which is a thing. so I just make it myself, like a hobo
That's it. That's living off the land, man.
living off the land.
You're a you're a fucking
I'm becoming a fucking hippie, Jesse.
Yeah, you're just get rid of big government, buy gold. Just
Honestly, though, like right about now, it doesn't sound like too bad of an idea to just go and get like a tiny cabin somewhere and just go out there and just eat grass and make my own beer
there you go.
with like very minimal electricity.
Yep, and just stacks of 80s porno tapes.
Could do that. I
Yeah.
don't know about 80s porn though.
No, I'm specifically 80s porn.
Specifically 80s porn. You like the mullets, right? That's
Yeah,
what it's all
man.
about.
Just
It's
the attitude was different then.
Well, there was a lot of things that were different then, but
It's more flexing into the camera.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Kind of
Jesse
been lost over time.
Kind of like our listenership.
Yeah, the minutia. Really?
No. I'm sure. Like, well, the fact of the matter is, anybody who's listening to this, like, if it's their first time listening, like,
We're sorry.
yeah, well, our condolences to you. But honestly, like, if you can't make it through this, then you're not gonna. It's not your thing, because this really is just mostly like us talking about gross things, and then movies sometimes. But there's a lot of dick talk, definitely. Occasionally we throw in titties and other things too, just to make everything fair and equal.
That's right. We don't want
to discriminate.
We don't want to discriminate against them titties.
We objectify everybody on this show. All races, colors, creeds,
religions. Doesn't matter. We don't care if you lizard people are listening. We'll get to you too at some point.
Oh my god. So what's been going on with you, man? How you been?
I've been all right. But back to lizard people. Have you seen those YouTube videos of people who like think lizard people are like on national television and they like feel like they put their cell phone up close to the screen and then they like DVR it, so then they go like fast, they like go in slow motion to show you like how their eyes, like what their eyes look like when they flit up and everything like that.
No.
There's like newscasters they show and they're like, look, this is a real lizard person right here.
I mean, I believe that most of the people on Fox News are probably lizard people, but they're not doing a very good job of hiding that they have human skin over them. Because most of them are either like super hot women or they're just super fucking weird and ugly, like that Charles Krauthammer dude.
Oh, I know, he's scary.
Like, I don't know what it is with that guy, but like I swear that like just looking at him head on, his nostrils are so large that you can see right back into the blackness of his soul.
You can, yeah, and he's like, the way he talks, I feel like he has like somebody's just like breathing into his butt to make him talk.
And the way he sits looks like if he moves a little bit, like his skin covering is just gonna slide off.
Yeah, like and it's gonna reveal his
true form,
his true corporeal form. It's pretty scary out there. That guy, I don't know what his deal is, but stay away.
And he's a respected journalist, Jesse.
He is. He's been doing it a long time. I think he's like the Dick Clark though of newscasting. Like,
it's just roll him out there until he like literally falls over dead.
Yeah, like they like pumped him full of like things to keep him like somewhat alive, and then they're just gonna one day he's just gonna like, I don't know, his heart's gonna eat itself. Just the worms are just gonna explode in his chest, and he's just gonna fall down in the middle of like they're talking about Trump or something, and he's just gonna explode. It'll be like Scanners, but with his heart.
So it's kind of like a combination of Scanners and Alien then.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
This is what you're saying to me.
Glad you're on the same page.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen those videos though. I did see a video earlier today of a guy who taxidermies cats and pets and turns them in. He puts the skins over drones and then they fly around, and it's really fucking weird and it's real.
Wouldn't that be pretty scary though if you saw that?
Dude, I would just give up on life at that point.
I mean,
if I saw one of those things flying at me, I would probably just kill myself.
I know, because it's like, I mean, you wouldn't understand what it was at the time. And you'd be like, oh wow, it's a drone with a cat skin put over it. You'd be like, the gates of hell have opened. The
But
hell is this?
even once you realize what it is, you're just like, wait a minute, somebody did that.
Somebody had that time, man. He
Like-
got off from his 9 to 5. And he made that. It's dedication.
I mean, I understand that people have weird hobbies, but wow.
Oh man, people really do have weird hobbies.
I don't even need to know about the ones of yours that I don't know about. So how did that Harry Potter go, though?
Oh, all that Harry Potter though. We sold all the Harry Potter. We sold hundreds and hundreds of copies of that book.
Did
it's
any
ridiculous.
famous people buy it?
No, just
No.
like really aggressive parents, and the kids were less aggressive than the parents. You know what I mean?
So really, like, what were they doing? What's so aggressive?
They're just like they come in, and if we were waiting on more copies to come in this week, they would be like really upset, and the kids would be like, "Oh, that's fine. I'll just get it tomorrow." And the parents are like, "Why don't you just order more copies? What's wrong with you? Don't you know they're gonna sell?" And you're just like, "It's all right. Like it's fine. Like it'll be here tomorrow, you know." But like parents are way more intense about getting the book than the kids were. But the kids were really it's really great to see kids happy about a book, like
Is it actually a book, or is it?
no, it's a play. It's a script of a play.
And it's not even the final draft of it, right?
It's not, from what I understand. I mean, I read some of it. It almost reads like Harry Potter fan fiction, but it takes place like 19 years after the final book, and it's all about Harry's kids, Ginny and Harry's kids, and like Draco Malfoy's kids going
Spoiler
to Hogwarts,
alert.
going to Hogwarts now, and it's fun, but it's not like a Harry Potter novel. It's not like really engrossing. It's just sort of like, oh, these characters are fun, and it's
not Fantastic Beasts and How to Find
and
Them.
where to fuck them.
It's the longest movie title ever, by the way.
I know. No, and it's like it wasn't even really written by Rowling. She kind of approved the story of it, and like I guess did some edits, but essentially like these two playwrights.
But they put her name on it, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, I'm sure she had a pretty big involvement with it, but she didn't necessarily write it. And as far as I know, she's like, "Hey, yo, I'm done with this," which I think she should be. I don't think she should touch it anymore. I mean, I think they should just stop. But I mean, I guess it's such a money hole for them.
Dude, if there's money to be made,
Yeah,
people will be there.
and
So.
it's interesting. I mean, I don't know what the contractual rights are to make money off like film franchises off that stuff, because like as far as I know, Rowling owns all the rights to her books. And with the Pottermore stuff, like she actually like owns all that shit. But I'm not sure like what kind of sort of like hell she's in where she has to like agree to do these like fucking like fan fiction-y type offshoots, she's probably like not happy about. Well, she's probably making a lot of money. She doesn't care. But I mean, she doesn't want to. She's not going to write another book just to write another book, I don't think.
Well, she probably just doesn't want people to think that she wrote it necessarily, but it's I get it, man. Because like I'll be honest, like there would come a point where I just I wouldn't give a fuck, because I'd be like, money.
Yeah, I have to pay.
Like
the
I
bills.
don't have to do anything. These people just want to slap my name on something or do whatever. Like they want to, from whatever producer capacity, and I'll get paid for it, and I don't have to work.
But
Sounds
I think
fucking fantastic to me.
But I do think she has a huge level of like creative control, like over the content. Like I definitely think it has to fit her like agenda for it.
Like Harry's not gonna fuck Ron Weasley.
Yeah, I mean that could happen at some point. We never know. That'd be great. But
good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Finally admitting.
Expelliarmus.
Expelliarmus spermius. So, I don't know what Harry Potter. No, so it's great to see, but regardless, not a really a real new book, but it's really cool to see. especially like a new generation of young kids, like pumped about reading more Harry Potter and just to read in general. It was really fun, you know, that day it came out because we didn't do a midnight opening like a lot of poor bastards had to do, but we did plenty well Sunday when it came out when we opened up. So, but kids are just, you know, they're excited to read more Harry Potter, and that's kind of cool. And to read and to kind of buy actual books.
Books, man.
Yeah, man, they're still a thing. This is going to be a big money maker for the publishing industry. So, but anyways, that's about it. I mean, that's all that's been really. And we had an event with this author last week, and Luke Wilson came in, which was really awesome. And he sat down with everything, yeah. And he bought a book, and I talked to him, and I'm like, hey, yo, you're pretty all right, man.
Does he talk like he does in the movies? Was he just like, well,
no, same cadence, and homeboy, like you know, you meet a lot of these people, and you're like, you don't look like you do in the movie.
Yeah.
But he looks. I mean, it's like Luke Wilson, like that. The homeboy looks like it like transposed from the screen, like, you know. He looks like he looks, and
it doesn't look like they make him up too much.
no, and he's he's really sweet. He's a really nice guy. So that was really nice to, because sometimes you deal with these people and you're just like, Jesus Christ. So yeah, so that was nice. That was about it. That's all I got going on, man.
That's what happens when you work in the Hamptons there.
Yeah, get that Luke Wilson swag.
Well, fall is coming, so that makes me very happy.
Me too.
I'm just counting down the days until
Labor Day, for me at least.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta work kind of that weekend, but I have a long weekend, so that'll be nice. But I'm really looking forward to pumpkin beer season. Finally getting hopefully some weather that's not super fucking hot. On the plus side, I haven't had to mow my lawn in a month, which is nice. But on the downside, like, it just is really uncomfortable trying to go hang out and sit outside on my deck. So I'm looking forward to fall, and of course Halloween is going to be awesome. And I'm trying to figure out some plans to do something special with the podcast for the month of October. So stay tuned on that. We'll see what we can do. And I'm trying to convince Jesse to come and visit me in October.
Podcast.
And we can podcast live on the internet from my house, Jesse.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
There's, you know, the universe will have to do something to stop that from happening, but but a boy can dream, right?
Yeah, I'll have a brain aneurysm or something. Or I'll
if I get my way, he's gonna
palsy.
If I get my way, Jesse's gonna kidnap John Squires and bring him too.
Oh, so for sure.
Maybe
I wouldn't go alone. I would need a compadre.
Just to make sure that, you know, funny stuff happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in case you catfish me, you turn out to be like a 90-year-old lady. You're like what's her face from Game of Thrones? You just take off the necklace. And you're just like the old lady.
Oh, if only.
No, but
I would get John drunk enough so that he'll actually.
I wouldn't want to drive that far by myself, basically.
Yeah, no, that sucks, man. Trust me, I've done it.
Because also, if I get like a flat or something, it's tough. So.
Yeah, especially no. So I think you're technically coming from the east. Yeah, so you got to cross through some like hillbilly ass places.
Yeah,
to get over here. Like shit, where you go there and there's just like gas stations with like a dude sitting outside with his dog.
Yeah, with a big
looks like he's.
Sign.
Yeah, exactly. One time I went to the gas station and it was like, we do not have gas. And I was like, there's no fucking gas shortage. What kind of a gas station doesn't have gas?
This ain't 2008. Where's the gas? Hurricane Sandy ain't here. Come on, man.
So I don't know. We'll see. That may result in some things. Usually we talk about people who died, but I don't think anybody famous died this week. It's like the first week in all of 2016 when there wasn't some crazy, weird celebrity death.
I know. I feel like we're blessed.
So R.I.P. celebrity deaths.
R.I.P. celebrity deaths.
Maybe we're done.
Yeah, right.
For a while.
It's going to be Betty White next week.
Oh God, Betty White, man, she's so old.
Homegirl's riding it out.
I'm pretty sure at this point, like Betty White actually died a long time ago. It's just the weird urchin that has taken over her brain that is keeping the body moving.
So it's a thing. It's like a big like thing attached to her spinal cord that makes her walk around and talk.
Oh my God! All right. Okay, I think it's probably a good time to take a break, right? And
Yeah,
come
man.
back and we'll talk about Wu Tang Clan and Emma Roberts in her underwear.
Yep, sure. And Lighthouses and Virginia Woolf and
Yeah, Virginia Woolf and well, there's some I think there's some conversation to be had. I don't know if it's necessarily about the subject matter of the movie as much as there's some weirdness in this movie that we're going to discuss. So
oh yeah.
So okay, so hang around. We're going to take a break for a few minutes. If you got to go get a drink or something, go do that. And we'll be back to discuss Nerve in a few minutes. So don't go anywhere and hang out. We'll see you then.
You're listening to the Dead Air Horror and Genre Podcast.
Never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
Get another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
Jonathan is having a housewarming party.
Wow! What do you guys want to do?
Well, we could play hide and go seek.
Yeah.
What about Trivial Pursuit?
Yeah.
The trick. Poker.
Yeah.
I got an idea. Let's do a ritual. Bow hey. Yod hey, bow hey.
You do the hokey pokey and you do yourself.
Hey, knock it off.
Come. I order thee. In the name of the most holy Trinity. Come. I order thee.
Well, that was fun.
No, wait. I need to dismiss the spirit. So do I. Where's the bathroom?
Upstairs.
Unfortunately, there will be some surprise guests. They have very bad manners. And they have no respect for privacy. They'll wake up the neighbors.
What the hell's in there?
And they never take no for an answer.
Man, that chick is really a screamer.
Ghoulies, once they show up, you can never get rid of them. Ghoulies, they'll get you in the end.
Hi, this is Davaya. I am from the Exorcast. Every week, we talk all about pornography, beards, horror movies. He used to have a co-host named Vincent, but he is off somewhere playing with dildos and dressing up like Judge Dredd. So, now I have a guy named Chuck and another guy named Newsfinder General, and we have more fun without Vincent because he is a sack of shit. We love the Dead Air guys, but James is a little rapey, Jeff is too drunk, Jesse thinks he is Nick Cage, And Sean? Well, I don't know where Sean is. Probably at a gas station giving hand jobs. So, when you are done listening to these assholes, you should go to exorcast.com and listen to us, assholes. I am sorry that I sound like a robot, but I have not given Jeff a new bumper in a long time. So he had to make this one. Go fuck yourself. exorcast.com. Bitch. The power of pornography compels you. Thank you.
A game like Truth or Dare.
Is this legal?
It's cool.
It's the easiest way to win cash or glory.
This game is sick.
If you have the nerve, play the game. Play the game. Play the game.
3, 2, 1.
Nerve in theaters July 27th.
Oh my God, Dave Franco. Counting down. 3, 2.
Do it. Do it.
So we're here to talk about Nerve now. So Nerve is a movie that was directed by Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman.
The juice is loose.
The Juiced is Loose. It's based on a novel by Gene Ryan with a screenplay by Jessica Sharzer, starring Emma Roberts, Dave Franco, and pretty much
Juliette
the whole cast
Lewis?
of Orange is the New Black and
Yeah.
Juliette Lewis. Well, all the minorities from Orange is the New Black. And all sorts of other people, man. There's some weirdness in this movie. I was like, what is going on here? So I didn't know a whole lot about this except for the fact that I saw some trailers and I was like, well, Emma Roberts is usually right? And like I like Dave Franco. I like the whole Franco family, I think, in a lot of ways, because I'm pretty sure all they do is just hang out and smoke weed and make a lot of movies, because they seem to be in almost every movie. If you were to I'm pretty sure that if you take every movie that's coming out, James Franco is in like half of them. And then Dave Franco shows up in 25% of the other ones. But I wasn't too familiar with this thing, other than it was showed up and Lionsgate was putting it out, and I was like, oh, hey, those were the guys that made Paranormal Activity 3, and that was a good movie. I like that movie. But is this book super popular that it was based on, or what?
Yeah, it came out I think in like 2012 or something. It's a YA book.
You need to explain what that is for people, Jesse.
Oh, YA means young adult. So if you were to think of books that are in the YA category, there would be books like The Hunger Games, Divergent, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, books that are aimed towards those between the ages of 14 and up. Books that are equally read by adults, but the market is super young audience. And from what I understand, I wasn't selling books at the time, but it was a pretty well received YA novel. We sell it at the store. It does well. Now it has the movie tie-in cover. And I don't know much more than that, but it was, a successful book. It probably took a while to get off the ground, but then I could imagine with the way that technology's gone that they figured now is the time to strike. And I think, it went from, her book, I guess, went from being like speculative fiction to pretty much almost realized fiction at this point. To some extent. Obviously not to the game playing, but definitely in terms of the social media stuff and the interconnectivity and all that stuff that goes on. So it's kind of interesting on a few levels. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay, so it's a book, and I found that out kind of after the fact there. I knew it before I saw the movie, but after I had already seen the trailer for it, and I was just like, I don't know. And so I was like, well, it looks like it could be kind of weird, and it's kind of sci-fi, definitely thriller-ish, right? So I was like, I guess that'll fit in because there's not really anything else to talk about that's coming out in theaters. So we decided to watch it. I'm guessing Jesse was probably more intrigued because it was based on a book, but
Oh yeah, I mean, I like that type of. I like these types of movies, at least like from the outset, like the speculative near future fiction. I think it's kind of cool. And I thought the trailer looked good. It had kind of like a real like contemporary hip feel to it. And I was interested. And like I said, I thought the casting was good. So I wanted to check it out for sure and see what the kids were up to. You know, see what they're doing with their phones and their Pokemons.
And it's really weird too, though, because so this movie comes out, and then right alongside it, there's also another movie that's come out. I believe this week. I'm guessing that it showed up. I think it's on VOD. I'm not really sure because I just found out about this today. But it's a movie called Viral that Juiced and Schulman directed. That was also written by the dude who did the screenplay for a whole bunch of the Paranormal Activity sequels, Christopher Landon. And apparently it also stars Machine Gun Kelly, who is in Nerve as well, as the very obviously like white dude who thinks he's hood as fuck. And we'll get into that a little bit, but there's some really weird connections to some of the people who are in this movie and where they go. So I don't know. We may have to do an episode on that Viral movie. I'm guessing, because I think it's from Blumhouse. I'm guessing it's one of those ones that they're putting out to like either just to VOD and then maybe it's going to pop up on Netflix if it's not already, because that's their model. But that should be kind of interesting. I mean, I know personally I was interested once I found out that those guys directed it, because quite frankly, I think Paranormal Activity 3 is like the best one in that series.
Yep.
And I was kind of interested to see what they would do with this movie, because they obviously understand doing things with technology. I mean, even some of the stuff that they did in Catfish with like the Google Maps and how they did the transitions and stuff like that. And I'm talking about the movie, not the TV show, because I've never seen that. But that movie had a whole bunch of technology stuff that they kind of put into it that was interesting. And I guess just the idea of this movie where this movie's essentially it's about a game that people play using their cell phones. That's kind of like an underground thing that's like Truth or Dare, except it's a whole bunch of anonymous people are watching, and they chip in money. Is that how that works?
I guess that's how that works. I'm not really sure where the funding was coming from. I thought I would get more answers to that. Like it's some weird like underground organization, but they don't really it seemed like sort of like a community-based program, but I'm not entirely sure how that worked.
Well, I mean, so this movie has a lot of the stuff that these movies based around technology kind of have issues with. If you're anybody who knows anything about technology, you kind of watch it and you're like, huh? Like they're using real words, but like they're not using them for what they actually mean.
It's like jargon.
Like the guy's like, I gotta connect to the Tor server so I can get to the dark web. And
dark web, you're like,
and you're like, okay, well, dark web's a thing, and Tor is a thing, but there's no such thing as a Tor server, because the whole idea of Tor is anonymous routing,
right?
So that people don't know where you're coming from. And I also really doubt that there is a entire building full of people just playing ping pong that have super fucking elite hacker skills.
Says you, man.
But it could be possible.
Haven't you seen those Google headquarters?
But at any rate, people choose this game and they're like, I'm either going to be a watcher, which is somebody who I guess you pay money to follow the people, and basically watch live video of them doing these dares that they get dared to do, or you are a player. And if you're a player, then you're the person who people are watching, and you're supposed to be filming yourself, which is obviously a comment on selfie culture, right? And everybody like, hey, look at me, like Periscope, all that kind of stuff, which is interesting because if this was 2012, that predates some of these applications that are kind of doing the same stuff.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it was really interesting. Like if in terms of like 2012, like the speculative fiction part, like now it feels like a little too like a little too real. Like we're only like a year away from that actually like some sort of like thing like this existing. Like maybe not to this level, but some sort of form of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's basically like if Anonymous was to make a program or something, and there's a lot of good ideas that are in there. I mean, it was at least interesting enough to, once I knew kind of what it was going to be about, to be like, well, I'd watch that, like not just because the cast seems pretty decent and the director's interesting choice for the directors and everything, but I feel like for me it came out of nowhere, but I guess that's because I'm fucking old and don't pay attention to YA fiction, right? So I guess the question for you though, Jesse, is, so did you have any expectations for this movie going in, and what did you think about it overall?
I would say that my expectations were a movie that was smart but not smart enough, because it would probably be hampered by the fact that it was geared towards a younger market instead of exploring like real issues that we have with technology, and data mining and all that kind of stuff. But I was really hoping that the movie would be fun. And I think that I pretty much got that and maybe a little more. Like I think I had more fun with it than I thought I would. And I think I really enjoyed the pulse of the movie. I kind of was losing it a little bit maybe towards the end of it, but it was still
we can get into that because there's definitely a point where the movie shifts.
Yeah,
a little bit, and I don't mean just in the, I guess, tone of the movie, but well, I mean the last act kind of goes bananas, like in a way that's not necessarily good. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I mean, I think that's about it. I really was expecting a teen movie that was smart but not smart enough, and with like a clever premise, but maybe not necessarily a huge payoff, and maybe a little too much sentimental. But I think I got a positive experience for sure.
So you liked it?
I did like it, yes.
Okay, and I think I had really no idea what to expect other than the flashy stuff that I was seeing, and the poster very like neon and weird and
hip.
Just like hipster. Those kids, those kids though. But I wasn't sure because I thought it was a little bit weird because usually when these studios pick up the YA properties, they're usually going after series, right? Like they want like a franchise. And is there only just this one book, or is there
I
more?
believe so. Yeah, I don't think she has any. I mean, I think she has other books, but nothing. I don't think it's like a series, like a trilogy or anything.
I was gonna say, because like where they leave this doesn't really leave a whole lot of room open for a sequel. I mean, I guess they could, but it's also like it just seemed a little bit weird to me that they would necessarily pick up something that's like a one and done. I mean, I guess they made this for, I think, an estimated like 20 million, and it did, like everything on the box office things are saying that it's a flop or whatever, but it made like 15 million already. So it's gonna be profitable, so it's not gonna be a problem for the studio at the end of the day.
But I mean, like, what was it opening against? Like Star Trek,
Jason Bourne,
like
I mean, Jason Bourne did like 60 mil, dude, which is,
I know.
I mean, it's not huge money, but it's money enough, right?
But yeah, no, but I'm saying like the nerve was like it was competing against, like, I would say some pretty big titles, right? I mean,
well, that's kind of why it's a weird thing for them to have put out during the summer,
Right.
I mean, I think they were hoping that maybe they were going to get that they were going to be that surprise movie that could like make a whole bunch of money this summer. But I'll be honest, like this movie would have been a perfect like put it out earlier in the year and like I don't know. I don't want to say January because January is
Right.
usually like garbage. But if this is a movie, if it came out in January, I probably would have been like, oh man, that movie was great.
Yeah, exactly. But here
Um,
it kind of feels like a weird, smaller film amidst like these really like big, huge studio films, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. But overall, really enjoyable and really interesting because it does actually have a lot more to say, I think,
Than
than
most
I would.
summer movies.
Yeah, well, for sure, than almost any summer movie. I'll be honest, like of all the movies I've seen this summer, this movie might have the most social relevance as far as a message goes for anything. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily saying something about a specific cause, but it is making a pretty good statement about technology and I guess
And data
how
mining and
data
how,
mining and how it all goes into our lives. I mean, it's a lot more, plausible than I thought it was going to be, right? And just looking at the way they did it. So first off, like kudos to the dudes who made this movie for like the editing and whoever did the editing, like hands down, it's pretty impressive, right? Like just especially in the way that they do the opening. Like I was almost like at first being like, oh man, are they just doing like Unfriended type shit? Like, are they just going to show us like computer screens for the whole time? Which worked in that movie, but I was kind of wondering how they were going to pull that off in here, and they really were able to seamlessly go from showing us, like heads up displays of the technology and these computer views and stuff being interactive and going back to the actual action that was happening and watching it as a normal movie.
Yeah, and I really dig how like directors and I guess editors and things have figured out how to segue like text messages into like
they like this has that same thing that The Shallows had going on for it when they were doing that. Like they've definitely figured out how to do that a lot better than they used to do, which would
without
be like somebody
you,
gets a text and then you just see their phone.
Yeah, it's just like it's like a really weird exposition dump all of a sudden. You're like, huh, okay.
I mean, essentially, this is Millennials the movie, right?
Like, it's very much Millennials the movie. It's like we don't care about the privacy or rights to any of our like content. Just like whatever, it doesn't matter. Everything is for sale.
Right, and they definitely make it pretty flat out, like a statement about people just, when you're just on the internet, like you're one way, and then, when it comes to real life, like you might not necessarily
right be that same person,
want to be associated with that same person. Exactly. But it was, overall, like I thought it was really good for at least the first two acts, and the third act I don't think was bad. I just think it was really super heavy-handed, and I feel like the way it ended the movie was very much like predictable in a lot of ways, but it was also like, hey, we have a message. Don't forget that this is what we're trying to tell you.
Well, it was that, and then it was also like it was preachy, but it was also way too tied up with a bow kind of thing.
Yeah, well, and that's why I was saying it's a little bit weird for a movie where you would expect that they were trying to kind of go for, you know what I mean, like like a franchise of some sort, which they really don't seem to care about with this movie, which is fine because I don't think we need a sequel to it.
Right.
I would not want to see a sequel to it because I don't think that I think they like shot their load on this one, right? Like for lack of a better term. But it was surprisingly good. It's a little bit weird because it's a teen movie, which I get, but it definitely is a darker version of that. But was I the only one that almost felt like they were kind of leering at the teenagers a lot more than maybe was appropriate in a way.
What do you mean?
Well, so like for a movie that's kind of based on a YA novel that's about teenagers doing that, I mean, there's the whole like upskirt thing that was going on at one point.
Oh, sure.
And then there was also like Emma Roberts' friend who was walking around with obviously no bra on, where you could basically see everything through a t-shirt.
Right.
At one point.
I mean, granted, these actors are
of age.
Way of age. I mean, they're probably my age, I would think.
Well, Emma Roberts just looks mad young, so
yeah.
She doesn't age, I don't think.
No, but definitely like concerning, and I don't know if it was something they were saying or if it was just sort of like awkward, kind of like you said, like leering.
Yeah, well, it felt weird, but I guess that kind of goes in with the movie because the whole movie is about like watcher culture, right? Like people who just are super interested in other people, and I think really, you know, I like the Periscope thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, if this book was written back then, I mean, they kind of foresaw a lot of that, and they definitely used some of the Periscope like UI stuff in the movie.
Yeah. So,
I mean, they borrowed it, shall we say. And I thought all of that was really well done, and I thought that there was definitely a decent story in there. And I liked all the actors and stuff, and like I said, I mean, Emma Roberts did well, and Dave Franco was Dave Franco, basically.
Yeah,
it was really weird that there was like James Franco posters all over the place, though, too.
Gabby pointed that out when we saw it. She was like, "What? Why James Franco?"
Well, I almost think that those dudes had to have done that as a joke.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that was intentional, and somebody got a laugh out of it. And you know, Dave Franco probably knew about that shit, but it's just it's just weird. Like, and then there's that Machine Gun Kelly character,
Mad Max,
shows up. Who basically, he looks like he's like weird, like Mad Max, but it's like
with a man bun.
Yeah, white dude with a man bun who's talking like he's super hood.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I was like, where have I seen that guy before? And then come to find out it's Machine Gun Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. Like he was basically just being himself in Mad Max cosplay.
Yeah.
So, you know, it wasn't a terrible thing, but
he doesn't have like a huge, well, sort of a big role, but like he doesn't have a lot of like talking screen time or anything like that. He's sort of
no.
So he's almost like between him and Juliette Lewis, they're sort of like plot devices. Like they're just made to like move the characters along in some way or provide some sort of like trigger for the next scene.
Well, poor Juliette Lewis, though. Come on.
I know.
I mean, she really deserves more than what she gets to work with here, but I guess they could have done a lot worse, right?
She's a punk rock icon.
I know I'm not. I am team Juliette Lewis ever since I saw Cape Fear back in the day. Always been a fan.
Yeah, she's cool. She's really cool. But
it was really weird seeing her as the mom who doesn't really do a whole lot here, and there was, you know, there was some other stuff, and they fleshed the characters out, but they pretty much sold me on it when they had Dave Franco doing karaoke to Roy Orbison, and Emma Roberts singing Wu Tang Clan while she was getting a tattoo.
Dollar bill, y'all.
Which I was like, all right, like they kind of have me on this, so I can't really complain about this movie too much. But the ending, the last act, it's like I almost feel like I was disappointed by that because everything else up until then was
really spot on.
Well, and as ridiculous as it was enjoyable. But then they get to the last one. It almost felt like it's like, just in case you don't understand what we're trying to say, we are going to literally tell you exactly what our message is. And maybe that's a studio thing, like the studio didn't
Probably.
trust that people would be able to figure it out or something, but it felt really awkward. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and not in a good way, or not even in a, it was a very, it was weird because I went from like sitting there being like, hey, this is pretty fun, to like kind of rolling my eyes at it a little
Yup,
bit.
100%. 100%.
Because they, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I mean, they literally come right out and basically state the thesis of the movie, which is like, dude, I got that from everything else you did. I got that. But I guess in these days, maybe that's what they feel like they need to do.
Yeah,
but
I kind of want to read the book now. We do sell it, and it seems like a pretty short book, and I kind of want to know what the difference, like if it's as on the nose with that stuff towards
as
the end.
heavy-handed with it, like,
Yeah, like it kind of felt like it just felt too like easy movie out, really, you know. And I think that's why books are cool sometimes, because they're like a little more complicated. They don't really try to tie things up as well. At least, I mean, there are books that do that, but I mean, a lot of books are able to be a little more like abstract in that way. And I'm kind of interested to know if she wrote a different type of book. 'Cause
right.
I really don't know what the book is like, and I'm kind of curious as to how that wraps up. But I'll get back to you guys at some point about that if I end up reading it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to find that out, because it's, like I said, I think overall I enjoyed this movie a bit more than I was expecting to.
Yeah,
like, I didn't have negative expectations going in, but I think it was, it was well done.
Exactly, and I think too, like I ended up really like digging it way more than I thought I would. Like I really thought that I'd be kind of like, I mean, I think I knew I would like it, but I think it would be like I would feel sort of out of touch with it in some ways. But I ended up, yeah, really. I think I really like the pulse of the movie. Like it really moves, and
it's short too. Like,
yeah, it's super short. But I do think the last act, it kind of, for me, it kind of dragged, and maybe that was because my enjoyment just totally dipped at that point.
I think the engagement part is a factor in that. It probably didn't need to be as long, but maybe if they weren't just kind of literally Deus Ex Machina, like explaining, like if it wasn't just like a giant, I don't even want to say information dump, because it wasn't information that you didn't already have. It was literally just characters telling you like what the entire theme of the movie was.
No, this is what happened.
Exactly. Like this is what happened. It was like a recap for dumb people, which, again, like, I mean, I feel like, I definitely would have enjoyed this movie more had they not done that. But overall, it's pretty well done. It was short. They got in, they got out. The end credit sequence was
really good.
Really good. Actually, the credits in general for this whole movie. So visually, this movie is pretty great for what it is.
Yeah, a lot of great editing, a lot of great.
The way they integrated actual YouTube clips and shit too.
Yeah.
Like, like they made them into like the dares, and it was like shit that people really did. Like that guy who tried to jump across the subway tracks and like smashed his face.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, like stuff like that. Yep.
It was just like maybe the only movie that I've ever seen where when you're watching through the end, they're like citing break.com and like, content like courtesy of break.com. Like you never see that shit. But I mean, it was really on the pulse with that. And I mean, those guys obviously, I guess that's kind of their thing, right? I mean, they
keep it up on technology and
yeah, exactly. And so I think they were probably the perfect choices to direct this movie. Certainly better than some other people might do with it, because this movie could have been a pile of shit. Like,
yeah, for sure.
But they managed to switch between the I don't want to say found footage because that's ridiculous, but they managed to switch between the third person footage and actual like film stuff pretty well, I think.
Yeah, it's super seamless, and like I really responded, I think, in my experience to all the visual cues and things that were going on that I thought were really like sleek, and it was a sleek movie. Like it's definitely like a millennial sort of
Pops.
yeah. It's a pop movie. It's a trendy movie, but it has a little substance that it says a little more. But yeah, like visually, this movie is just very exciting to kind of take in, because there's always something else going on screen, and you can kind of, I mean, even just like the motorcycle, right? Like the motorcycle was just fun to look at.
Yeah, no, that thing was pretty awesome.
I think it was a Triumph or something, but it was really cool. And there was definitely like some moments where my not adrenaline was up, but I was like
your pulse gets up. Like you get a little bit, like you get that edge of your seat a little bit.
A little anxiety going on.
There was some good tension, and there was a lot. Like if you don't like heights, this movie will fuck you up, because there's some serious shit like with, and I don't know how that's gonna play necessarily on on a television for anybody out there who hasn't seen this, and they're just gonna be like, well, I'll rent this. But watching it like on a big theater screen, I don't like heights, and there was definitely some
there's a lot of uncomfortable things going on at some points.
Yeah. So again, at the end of the day, like I think overall, this is sitting at like a 7.2 or something like that on IMDb, and I think that's pretty appropriate.
That's about right. Yeah, I mean, I would give it probably a 3.5, or
3.5 out of 5 or 7.
Yeah, so that'd be a 7 out of 10, 3.5.
I think if they did the ending better, it could have been like a solid 8.
Yeah, no, if they really, and I think if they had a messier ending, I kind of would have appreciated that more. Like if sort of like it just was a more complicated ending, I think I would have liked that more, because I don't think it was an exit for. I don't think the characters. I mean, at least Emma Roberts' story was meant to be as neat or tied up in a bow like that, and they could have done way more with that. So, but oh well, is what it is, man. That's Hollywood.
But they managed to have Emma Roberts not only in her underwear at one point.
Yeah.
So there's that. But they also managed to have her singing Wu Tang Clan.
Yeah, which is pretty great.
She had me at Wu Tang Clan.
Mm-hmm. Also,
I saw that sticker on the door. I was like, "Oh, it's a Wu Tang sticker," and then I was like, "Oh shit!" And they called it back. And they just straight up had her like singing the entire song while she's getting a tattoo from the weird fucking tattoo guy. Let's just say that. That guy was crazy.
Homeboy was crazy.
So good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to say about this movie? I don't think we need to have spoilers. So.
No, I don't think there's anything to really spoil. It's good. I think people should give it a shot. I think. Do
you think people should see it in the theater, or do you think it would be okay?
Yeah, man.
Wait?
I think it's something really. I think, like, our complaints aside, I think it will give you more of more to think about than, say, your standard summer movie, blockbuster film, right?
Right.
I think it will give you there's more material there for you to look at and think about and digest, and it's fun, and I think if you wanted like a really fun like date movie or something to do on a really hot hot afternoon in the summer, and you want to go into the air conditioning at the theater, I think you could do way worse. So yeah, I really think it's worth seeing in theaters, and then it's also worth renting. But I would urge you to see it in theaters, because I think it's like a visually interesting movie.
Yeah, and I think same thing. I mean, I think it would play kind of okay on the television. I think there's a few scenes in there that probably have more impact when they're larger, but it's definitely worth your time. And if you can't get to the theater, then fine. Make sure you VOD it and at least give it a rental. I'll probably pick this movie up when it comes out. So, and actually keep it and own it, because I would watch it again for sure. So it sounds like we both give it a recommendation, which is a little bit surprising. Not as surprising as when we both were like, "Hey, Unfriended is pretty good."
Yeah.
Because I thought that movie was gonna be fucking garbage, but that's definitely a lot more of a horror movie. This movie, just to be clear, this movie is not really a horror movie. It's more of a sci-fi thriller type thing. But when I say sci-fi, I don't mean like super duper sci-fi. I mean like it's science fiction because they're dealing with technology that doesn't quite exist yet. But it's super plausible, right? So
yeah, it's speculative fiction. It's something that could happen in the near future.
Hopefully won't.
But hopefully will not, but I am not ruling it out.
All right, cool. All right, well, we're gonna take a break then for a few minutes here, and so if you gotta get a drink or do whatever, go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the internet and some movies we've watched and stuff, and then we're gonna wrap things up. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and come back, hang out with us, and we will see you guys in a few minutes. Hey guys, this is Jeff here, and I want to tell you a way that you can help support our podcast. Because you see, we do this for free for you guys every week, and you know, we obviously have a lot of fun doing it, so that's good. But it's also costly and costs us money. So what you can do to help us out, because I know you all shop on Amazon already, is just head over to deadairpodcast.net when you're going to do your Amazon shopping and click the Amazon link that is on our front page. And that will take you to Amazon, and you can go and purchase away and do whatever you normally do on Amazon. Buy those butt plugs, buy those dildos, buy those I don't even want to know what else you guys buy on Amazon. But if you go there and you do your shopping through there, we will get a small percentage of it, and it'll help us to keep this show running. And we will have no idea who's buying anything or what they bought. I can see what they bought, but I don't know that it was you. So you don't have to worry when you're buying the weird cock ring, Jesse. I won't know that was you. So anyway, head over to deadairpodcast.net, use the Amazon link, and remember to do that anytime you got to shop through Amazon. So thanks, really appreciate it, and I guess it's time to get back to the show.
They're coming! Marshmallows! Dragon Bed and Count Chocula. Now all the monster cereals have bigger monster-sized marshmallows. Count Chocula has enormous chocolatey marshmallows. It's a delicious part of this nutritious breakfast. New monster marshmallows are here.
The monster marshmallows are here.
They're everywhere.
Whoa!
The most terrifying night of your life. Well, steady your nerves.
Ah, you're white as a sheet.
And prepare yourself for a shock. Because if you were scared before,
It's not really over.
imagine how scared you'll be now.
Welcome to Fright Night.
You could say that again, partner.
Yes, Fright Night, Part 2.
It's happening again.
Such a thing simply couldn't happen twice, Charlie.
Can I have a bite?
It is happening again.
Here come the vampires.
Got off the slab at the morgue just to be here tonight.
And there goes the neighborhood.
I can hardly go breaking into my neighbors' apartments, accusing them of being vampires.
That hurts. They'll stop at nothing to get what they came for.
I'd kill for a cup of coffee.
Enjoy a delicious evening of thrills and chills. Come join in the devilish doings of Fright Night Part 2 as Roddy McDowell returns to do the job he does best.
I kill vampires.
Fright Night Part 2. You scream your head off.
Me and my buddies need a place to hide out. Come a little closer. Oh, Did I scare you? Oh, I do that so well. If you take us home, we'll kiss your Aunt Martha. We'll eat your peas. And we hope you know lots of girls. Hey, the name's Bob, and it's each sold separately. And we're looking for good homes. Maybe yours.
Predictable. I knew he was gonna bite it.
How can you watch this shit over and over?
Shh.
And now, back to the show.
All right, and we are back. So it's good to be back, and now we get to bullshit and talk about random things, right?
Hey, what we're really good at.
Pretty much. So the internet exploded today because Suicide Squad, which we're going to talk about next week, had, I guess they were the critics screenings and the premiere and everything like that. And surprise, surprise, people didn't give it glowing reviews. I don't know, were the reviews like super negative or were they just not?
They were just like, oh, well, this movie has potential, but mostly it's like an editing mess, which seems to be the general complaint.
Okay.
That's like a mess. It's just it's a mess, which, you know what? That kind of was pretty apparent from the first trailer, which, you know, I want to see this movie now, and I want to like it, and I think it looks fun. But I mean, come on, how can you put all these people in this movie in it for it not to be a mess? You know.
Well, I feel like really though the thing is that the problem kind of started when they started reacting to the Batman versus Superman
right
back, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go through and make this less dark." Or
right.
whatever the hell it was, and it was like, if they actually did that, well, it's kind of a problem, right? Like, let the movie be what it is, and the problem is they're trying to. We have this weird thing that we've come to, where we have the fans out there that are angry about what other people are saying about the properties, but then you have the company that's like the general movie-going public is not necessarily reacting poorly to this reception, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to see it, and if they want to see it again, then they'll go see it again, or if they liked it, then they liked it. I don't think that bad feedback is going to hurt this movie financially necessarily, like whatever the critics say.
Right.
But for whatever reason, the studio seems to be taking more note of that than the actual populace, which can be a bad thing, right?
Right.
Like, they need to just let the people make the movies that they're going to make.
Right. And I think DC is really afraid, and I don't
even know if I call it DC as much as Warner.
Right. Okay. So maybe I'm talking out of my butt, but I think Warner is afraid of really making their own brand. You know, like they feel like they have to contend with Marvel, which I mean they do obviously, but to the point where they feel like they need to make almost the same movies that Marvel's making, which I don't get that, because in terms of properties, like they're kind of two different feeling properties. They've always been, and to make them like one homogenous mess wouldn't make it better. You wouldn't make it a better experience. And quite honestly, I don't know if everybody wants DC to be Marvel movies, right? I
don't think so. I want the movies to just be whatever they're supposed to be.
Right. And I'm quite honest, I'm in the camp of wanting all the movies to feel completely different, like those first Marvel movies felt, when they were doing like the first Iron Man and Thor and all that stuff, when all those movies felt very unique. Like I prefer that. But it's become like, well, we're scared of going outside the box, and we need to make sure we make $500 million domestically before we can call it like a success.
I just don't get why you would hire like Zack Snyder and then not let Zack Snyder make his movie.
No, and that's super crazy. And I guess we talked about this last week at this point now. But
when you were talking about Batman v Superman, for sure.
Yeah, like that is
cut or whatever.
Yeah, that is a better movie. And it's a way better movie. And time and time again, the director's cuts from Snyder have been better.
But like, why would you hire David Ayer? And then, okay, they're like, we got David Ayer, and it's going to be PG-13. So right off the bat, there's like something a little bit weird that's going to come out of it because, I mean, let's just face it, David Ayer usually makes really super hyper violent movies, right?
Right.
Pretty fair statement, right? In general. So right there off the get-go, you're going to have a problem as far as content goes and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing. But then you're going to go through and try to tone it down even more because of the backlash from a different movie. I don't know. The whole thing just seems ridiculous. And I think, honestly, what needs to happen, and this is without me even seeing the fucking movie at all, is just that Warner just needs to be like, we're going to hire you to make this movie, and we're just going to trust that you're going to make
we just trust you 100%.
Yes. 'Cause that's what Marvel does for the most part. Like, they've had a few things, like when they said, well, okay, Edgar Wright is not going to actually do Ant-Man anymore because we have some differences. And I'm sure that they have gone in and cut out some stuff from the movies and done whatever. But I feel like for the most part, they bring on the filmmakers because they want that person to make the movie that they're going to
that movie, right.
And that's the thing. Like, I feel like part of the huge problem of it is this didn't become a thing until after Marvel started making money. And then Warner was like, well, no, we need a DC universe. And it's like, well, do you really need a DC universe, or do you just need to make good movies based on DC properties?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I mean, Wonder Woman looks pretty great, but
I think even Justice League looks pretty good. But I also thought, Suicide Squad, I thought the trailers coming out for this were really good, and
I mean, it remains to be seen. We have to.
It remains to be seen. Maybe I'll really dig it regardless. I mean, if it's a mess, like editing wise, I kind of expect that, which is a shame. But I'm also looking forward to, if they release it on home video, that it will be.
I'm sure we'll get an R-rated cut of it.
That's what I would actually probably would want to see anyways. But they're fucking, they don't know what they're really doing at this point, I guess.
I honestly think they're just trying to play catch up, and it's hurting them in the long run because the product that they're putting out into the theaters isn't as good as the product that they're putting out after the fact, which is like the opposite way that it should be.
Right. Yeah. And they're gonna basically people are just gonna wait until the home release.
But the thing that I don't understand is all the fucking crazy fanboy backlash, right? Like, I mean, I get it that they're like, okay, well, you can say it's crap all you want, but to the point where people are making petitions to shut down Rotten Tomatoes, which is just stupid, number one, because you're going to petition to put a company out of business. How does that work?
Well,
it doesn't work.
A company, an aggregator site that doesn't necessarily control the content coming in, that rates the content they're putting out.
Well, right. So there's that, but there's also like, that's like me saying like, I don't like this company's product, so therefore they should be out of business.
Right. I don't like Walmart.
Yeah. Well, that one you might be even a little bit more justified, right? But this is more like, yo, I don't like the saltines that this company puts out, so therefore everybody signed this petition to tell them to shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, number one, some other company is going to do the same thing. Number two, if you don't like what that company produces, just don't go there, right? If you don't click on their stuff,
it's a really simple solution that people have not figured out yet.
Right, and so there's that, and then I'm not going to let people off the hook. Like, people need to stop acting like just because reviews come out for a movie that these people are getting paid off and that there's some giant conspiracy, because it's funny because the same people that say that critics' opinions don't matter are the ones who are so fucking butthurt over the fact that these people don't like the movie.
Right.
Like, then just don't fucking pay attention to it, because I hate to tell you, like, the Transformers movies, fucking horribly reviewed all over the place. Horribly. And those movies made all sorts of money, and
they make
they're
all
on
the
like
money.
the fucking 5th one now, right? Or something like that.
It's out of control.
So calm the fuck down, grow the fuck up, and just let it go.
Mhm.
Like, you guys are spending so much time posting on Twitter and Facebook and wherever else about how unfair this is and how this is a fucking giant, vast conspiracy and people are getting paid. If you want to see the fucking movie, go see the goddamn fucking movie and shut the fuck up. And maybe you like it, maybe you don't. If you don't like the movie, then fine. If you fucking love it, then who cares if somebody else doesn't?
Right, it doesn't really destroy your experience, so it doesn't.
It shouldn't.
I mean, you think that the lizard people were running the movie industry?
Like, seriously, and I said this on Facebook earlier. Like, I don't understand why any of this matters. Go watch it. Come back with your own opinion, and stop spending time, fucking, I don't know, just rallying around it. Like, go fucking eat pizza or drink beer or rum or whatever the fuck it is that you want to do. Go. There's like literally thousands of other things that you could do that are going to be more productive than complaining about somebody else's opinion about a movie that you haven't seen yet.
Yeah, just read a book, or
do
go see the movie that you really want to like a lot.
Yeah, go watch Stranger Things on Netflix.
There you go.
Again, because it's that good. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I just find all that, and again, I'm not judging anything one way or the other. I can go see this movie and be like, oh, it's a mess.
Yeah,
but
I might actually think it's garbage for all I know, but
I just feel like it's ridiculous that there's all of this hubbub before a movie's even been seen.
I mean, it is the same with like Ghostbusters and having to like.
That one was a little bit different though, because that was actually like kind of the opposite. Right, because that was people being like, "Hey, this movie's pretty all right," but there was like this group of people that were supposedly quote unquote fans that just wanted to kill the property. This is like the opposite of that, where
Right.
there's like
No one's
people
ever-
that don't want it to get killed, but it's probably not going to get killed. So who cares?
It's such a weird sort of like contradictory thing, because are these the same people that wanted to put Ghostbusters out, but now they want to keep DC in? You know what I mean?
I'm gonna be honest. From what I've seen, there's a lot of the people that seem to be on that were the anti-Ghostbusters movement, kind of, that are also on the, like, I don't want to say pro Suicide Squad or pro DC or whatever. Like, they seem to kind of fall in line a little bit, and they also seem to both have this thread between them where they are kind of contrarians.
Right.
Which is, in other words, like, it's a weird thing, because I never thought that you could like classify a group of people as necessarily contrarians, but the internet has created this type of person who's just basically going to complain just to complain. So anything that everybody likes must not be very good. And then there's also the opposite of like everything that everybody hates is actually kind of underrated. So it's the overrated and underrated, which I fucking hate those terms. Like, I really can't stand them. I just think it's nonsense, because at the end of the day, like, I just go see what I want to see, right? Like, if it looks interesting to me, I will go see it. And maybe I like it, maybe I don't. But at the end of the day, my opinion is really the only one that I really care about. I will discuss a movie to try to get more out of it. Like, we discussed the movie tonight. Like, maybe Jesse will like a movie that I don't like, but then we can have that discussion where we're actually like, okay, well, why didn't you like it? Or why do I like it? But then at the end of the day, I'm not like, no, you're wrong. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people put more weight on some of this bullshit than they do on, who's going to be running our country in another year. And maybe people should stop worrying so much about the fact that fucking Devin Faraci didn't like Suicide Squad. and maybe just worry a little bit more about the fact that we might have certain people running this country in a few months. Like, right? Am I wrong? Like, come on, guys. I don't know. It's I guess all I have to say about it. We're going to talk about the actual movie next week, but that was a huge fucking thing that's just blown up all over the place, and I just don't understand it. Like, there's no reason that these threads should get as large as they are. I don't know. But on a positive note, I don't think we talked about it last week. Did we talk about the Blair Witch thing last week?
I think we did. Sort of.
Did we?
That The Woods is going to be the next Blair Witch film.
Yeah, and I know that it was kind of something that had been
up
rumored.
In the air, and they didn't know, and this and that.
But that's pretty cool, right? Like,
I mean, I'm excited. I mean, it's not necessarily a huge franchise, right? But it's more Blair Witch is a good thing.
Well, and I think it's more just also like I really like, and I think this is, we got like 10
Mr.
Cloverfield
Wingard?
Lane and stuff like that. Like, I really like the way that they did it, where it's like, hey, we're gonna make it into a thing, like an event, and we're keeping shit secret from people. Like, I really kind of like that, because I feel like, and I don't know if you can relate to this, because I mean, I know I'm fucking old, but back in the day, like, you didn't know what you were getting with any of this shit until you went to the movie theater to actually see it. And you wouldn't know what was coming out until you sat down in the movie theater and they were like, all of a sudden there's like a Ghostbusters 2 trailer. And you're like, yo, there's fucking Ghostbusters 2. It's a thing that's going to happen next year, because you saw a little teaser, right? But then you wouldn't have any of this other fucking information, and you had to like wait till it came out to see it. And that's why I feel like people were so positive on shit. And nowadays, like, you get the word that there's going to be a teaser for a movie. And then everybody's judging the teaser. And then in between then and the time it actually comes out, everybody's judging the movie like they've seen it.
Right, exactly. And it's the same thing. Like that, luckily Star Wars was a good movie, but I mean, that's like the thing. Like, you hear about Star Wars for like just like
well, at this point it's just going to be a perpetual fucking stream of Star Wars, because every year there's going to be a Star Wars movie.
Right, but I ended up really liking Star Wars: The Force Awakens, but I don't want to I don't want to see every trailer showing me every like little thing happening and screenshots. That happened with Ghostbusters too, where they just fucking showed every screenshot was like a post by some website, like everything they took from the fucking like the set, like it had to be a post on some website. And it's just like, come on.
I get it.
It's like we don't need that.
It's a different world for sure, but I think it was really super cool that this turned out to be a Blair Witch thing, and not necessarily because I'm like, yo, the Blair Witch is the greatest thing ever, but I really like Wingard and Barrett, and I think that pretty much everything they've done has been good so far. So I'm super curious to see what they did in this universe, right? Because there's some creepy shit about that first movie, and
sure. I mean, I think it was last summer I kind of rewatched it with fresh eyes, like grown-up eyes, and while I was super nauseated for watching it, it made me really nostalgic for the '90s. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Well, that movie itself was a very interesting thing, because when it came out, I mean, people thought that shit was real.
Right. I wish I was like, because when it came out, I didn't see it in the theater or anything like that, but I remember my parents talking about it. And my parents were like, or my father now still is like a super religious person, right? And they were talking about sort of like how spooky it was, the idea of it. And I think, they ended up seeing it actually, and being pretty scared by it and thinking it was pretty clever. But they wouldn't let me watch it. Eventually I saw it at a friend's house, but, and then I think, I don't know if it's because, maybe the time I saw it, or or the time I grew up in, but like when I watch it now or when I watched it last year, it made me really nostalgic for the 90s.
Yeah, no, for sure. I haven't revisited it in a while, but I know the ending of it is pretty creepy.
Yeah, the ending is perfect, I think. It's one of those like perfect little movies.
It's weird because I feel like there's a bunch of other movies that have taken stuff from it and done it better in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a slam against it. Like I feel like, opinions aside of what people think about Willow Creek, but they definitely did the whole tension inside the tent thing
right
much better.
Sure.
That shit is pretty bananas. Like, no matter what you think about the rest of that movie. And then they also like have that really fucking weird ending with like the naked fat lady.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the fuck? But Bobcat Goldthwait is kind of a genius in a lot of ways. So, either way, I mean, there's a lot of movies that owe a lot to the Blair Witch Project, and it's super important in that category. And I don't know, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to watching that movie next month. And I was looking forward to it even when I just knew it was The Woods.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I found out what it actually was, number one, I was like super impressed that they were able to keep it quiet for that long. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But then number two, like I was like, yo, this could be awesome.
And did they screen it at Comic-Con?
Yes. There are full reviews for the movie that already exist, and I have not read any of them, but the gist that I've gotten is super positive. Whether
right,
now
that's
again,
what I feel.
well, I was going to say again, you got to remember when these movie reviews come out from festivals or from special screenings like that, they tend to be super positive because people are caught up in the moment. So they tend to be more positive than they normally would be because people are caught up in the moment, as opposed to something that, is seen at like a press screening, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But like a festival or seeing something at Comic-Con is a whole nother experience. And I can tell you right now, like I've seen movies at festivals and they played fucking great at the movie festival. And I had a blast watching, and then I go back and watch it again later and I'm like, this is fucking boring. Like, it was only really good because there was like several hundred other people that were like super into it because they were seeing this thing that nobody else has really seen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm looking forward to it, and I trust those guys, and I think it would be cool. And if anything, I know Joe Berlinger is out there on fucking Twitter and other places basically campaigning for Lionsgate to let him release a director's cut of Blair Witch 2.
Book of Shadows.
Yep.
Yeah. That's another infamous sort of like studio film, right?
Yeah, he had a movie that he made, and they
had a movie they wanted.
Yeah, they had a movie they wanted, and the two did not meet at all, from what I understand. And so that would be pretty cool. And let's just be honest, I mean, it's owned by Lionsgate now. And
so it's
Lionsgate,
a hostage situation.
Well, not really, because Lionsgate, I think they swallowed up Anchor Bay is what happened. So there's some weirdness that's been going on. And there's definitely been a change in either the executives over there or something along those lines. And I don't think the hostage situation thing is going to be as much of a problem because they have started. I mean, this was a big thing that they just announced this week where they were saying that they're starting a new line where they're actually doing specific Vestron movies that they own. And they're putting them on Blu-ray. And I think the two big ones that they announced were Chopping Mall, which we already knew was coming to Blu-ray because I'm friends with Jim Warnowski on Facebook. And so he's been talking about it for a long time, which is super exciting.
Diner.
Yep. And Blood Diner, which I'm not as much of a fan as everybody else in the world appears to be.
Great cover art, but that's about it.
Great cover art, but I have the movie and I was like, I don't know about this. And I don't know, I'll go back and rewatch it, but so far I'm not like the world's biggest Jackie Kong fan, so maybe that's why. But they've also apparently today released the information of some of their other titles that they're going to be doing. One of them is Jesse's favorite, Bud the Chud. But they're also doing the Waxwork and Waxwork 2 double feature on Blu-ray.
There you go.
And supposedly they're doing these as like limited runs. And I'm hoping that they're going to be doing like extra features and stuff on the discs, but I just really hope that they put the uncut widescreen version of Waxwork out, because that movie is pretty amazing. Like, and if you haven't heard, we reviewed a whole bunch of these movies on previous podcast episodes. What, like 2 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, we did that whole.
We did the whole horror 8-pack, which was basically all Vestron movies. So the only thing that came out of this today, though, is I was just like, well, if they're doing all that, they better put the fucking Unholy on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's a movie. Let me tell you.
Because I will purchase the fuck out of that. Like
that ending, though.
The Unholy was like, and the funny part is everybody said that the ending, that they took the original ending and scrapped it, and the studio made them go back and put that ending in. And that ending is fucking bonkers.
I know. It's totally, I wouldn't say out of tone with the rest of the movie, but it's like it's like you almost feel like you got really high all of a sudden. You're like, what the fuck? There's a monster in the
it's like the equivalent of smoking weed all night, and then all of a sudden, like, you stand up from the couch,
you're like,
and you're just like, yo, I'm so fucked up. Or drinking, or whatever it is that you're into.
Right.
It's definitely, yeah. Like that was an experience where I remember watching that and not really expecting anything and being like, this is okay. And then you get to the end and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
It kind of changes everything.
Dude, it does. And then like the whole, like your whole view on the entire movie is different. And you're just like, wow. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, man, because I would rather have that than fucking Bud the Chud.
100%.
I don't know why do people like Bud the Chud?
No idea. No one can answer that for me.
It's fucking awful. Like,
it is awful.
I mean, there's that song, Bud the Chud.
Bud the Chud.
Bud the
Chud.
And I think there's a thing where he's dancing, right?
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
It's a piece of shit.
It's not good. I don't know.
So yeah, that was the other big news today from them, which is pretty, I don't know, that's pretty cool though. I'm hoping there's a lot of stuff Lionsgate owns, man.
Yeah, exactly. And like the more we can kind of get that away from them, like get it out there to the people, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because people, I don't know if people really understand how many titles they have just locked away.
They've got a lot of stuff that's just like owned by Lionsgate, and it's all these movies, and Scream Factory is constantly like, yep, we can't put that out because Lionsgate owns it.
People are like, why not? Like contracts, copyrights.
Lionsgate owns it.
It's not that easy.
So it's, I don't know, either the brass up there decided to make a decision or something happened. I don't know, but it's weird because it's like they're doing these. It's like they're doing like a Criterion collection of like Vestron video releases. I mean, to me, it's, you know, I'm super nostalgic for it because I remember Vestron and I remember those logos and I remember specific movies that were put out by Vestron. So that's pretty cool, but it's not necessarily the same thing as like Canon Films, right? Like Vestron was definitely a little bit more open, but the whole Lionsgate thing is a weird story of things being purchased by other people, and like I said, I believe that they swallowed up Anchor Bay at this point, so I don't know what that's gonna mean, because technically that means Lionsgate now owns like the Hatchet movies. Or at least the first Hatchet, right? So not the other two are Dark Sky, but I don't know. It's a weird thing, man. It's a weird world we live in.
It's a strange time. For sure.
It is. So I think that's really all the news that I got. So you been watching anything? You want to talk about?
No, not really. No.
Not really.
No, I got nothing. I've been
So anticlimactic, Jesse.
I know. I wanted to see Star Trek this week, but it never happened. So
I definitely need to see that.
Yeah.
At some point. At some point it will happen.
And I still need to watch Stranger Things and a whole bunch of other things, but it's just not been happening. So
Jesse's been too busy.
Busy that bookseller life though.
Too busy jacking off.
Yeah.
Selling books.
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
I've just been watching documentaries on Netflix. Is really.
Oh yeah, what kind?
Well, I watched that Battered Bastards of Baseball documentary, which was the one that's about Kurt Russell's father.
Okay, yeah.
Going from being like an actor to basically purchasing the minor league baseball team franchise rights in, I want to say it's Portland, Oregon, and starting up a baseball team basically to give the finger to the majors because all the majors owned everybody else. So he was the only independent baseball team in the minor leagues at the time. And then they did like really, really well. And then there was this whole thing where the majors basically shifted down major league players to their minor league team so that they could beat them. And then they came in and were like, yo, we're going to buy your team basically. And you don't have any say in it. And we're going to give you this much money. And so he took them to court. And it's pretty interesting. It's on Netflix. It's been on there for a while, but I was just like going through shit, and I was like, I'll watch this. It's Kurt Russell's dad, and Kurt Russell's in it, and it's pretty interesting. I also watched a bunch of Errol Morris stuff. So he is probably most known for doing, I think he did Grey Gardens, but he also did The Thin Blue Line. Which was that movie that got that dude off of death row who was about to get fucking killed for a crime he didn't actually commit. And I watched the movie Tabloid that he did, which is a really fucking weird movie. Have you seen that movie, Jesse?
Nope.
Do you know what it's about?
Nope.
Okay, so there's this girl who was like a model, quote unquote, or like beauty pageant queen or whatever, back in, I think it's the 70s. And she was kind of dating this Mormon dude. And then he went off on a mission for his church. And there are conflicting stories about what happened. But essentially, he claims that she came and kidnapped him and took him to this cottage in Europe and like tied him to the bed and just like raped him a whole bunch of times. And she claims that all of this was consensual, and the tabloids picked up on it. And then they found all this other shit where she was doing this weird like bondage like work on the side. And the whole thing just kind of gets really weird and culminates in her essentially being the first person to ever be involved in dog cloning.
Okay.
Because somehow she ended up with this pit bull, and then it died, and then she like gave some stuff to this Korean dude, and the Korean guy was able to clone the dog. And it's really fucking bizarre because it's all these people kind of talking about what happened with this case, and I don't know how it gets to the end where they're talking about dog cloning.
Right, you're like, how does point A get to point Z?
Exactly, but the whole thing is so weird because you're just hearing, like, it really feels like all this tabloid nonsense, and you have the people who are involved with the tabloid, and the lady herself is kind of fucking out of her mind. Like, she's kind of crazy. Like, kind of really crazy. And I don't know. I mean, it's on Netflix. It's not amazing, but I think it's worth people checking out.
Because it's so weird.
Because it's strange as fuck, for sure. So that's there. I also watched both the CNN documentaries on the 60s and the 70s.
70s. I watched the 70s one. That was pretty good.
And those were really good. So they're both on Netflix. People can check them out. I'm trying to think what else I watched. I don't think I've really seen anything else besides that. I haven't really watched a lot of movies recently. Watched Deathgasm.
There you go.
Fun. And then I watched The Way Back again, which I haven't seen in a while, which is
That's
really
Sam
good.
Rockwell.
Yep, Sam Rockwell and all sorts of other weirdness. And Steve Carell as like a horrible person. Fucking Toni Collette shows up. But that's a good movie. If people haven't seen it, I suggest that they check it out. I don't think it's not on Netflix. I have the Blu-ray, but you can probably rent it from your streaming service of choice. But I think that's it. So probably call it a night here. So
yeah, bro.
It's midnight, man. It's midnight. All right, so we will be back next week. We're going to talk about Suicide Squad. Then the week after that, I believe, actually for a couple of weeks after that, we're going to be talking about Wes Craven movies because I was looking at the upcoming release schedule, and we've got, well, Sausage Party comes out next week. So I don't know. That's up to you, Jesse, if you want to watch that. I'm going to watch it either way, but it's up to you if you want to do an episode on it. I don't think we need
Maybe.
to.
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
If it's worth talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if it will be necessarily, but I think the next big release that we have for theaters is the one that comes out in about 3 weeks, which is that Don't Breathe movie.
Oh, yeah. The blind dude with Evil Dead cast.
Yes, blind dude with Evil Dead filmmaker. I don't even know if it was the cast.
I think the girl is in it.
Oh, is it? So, okay.
I think it is, but don't quote me. But I think so.
Don't quote you.
Don't quote me in the tabloid.
Stephen Lang. Oh my God, that is Stephen Lang. As the old guy. Dude, Stephen Lang is fucking crazy. Like, I just remember him as the party crasher in The Hard Way with Michael J. Fox, which I think is definitely on Netflix, and everybody should watch that movie. LL Cool J's in it, and then he does Mama Said Knock You Out in the movie. It's pretty awesome.
And Michael J. Fox.
And Michael J. Fox is good. And James Woods. That's a good movie.
Before he was a crazy conservative.
That needs to be out on Blu-ray. But anyway, so that's the next big one that we got coming up, and that's a while away. That's like the end of August. So, and then in September, there's some stuff coming up that'll be pretty interesting in September. And then October is, of course, going to be good. So it looks like there's going to be a lot of Wes Craven going on, which will be fun, right? So we're definitely going to watch Hills Have Eyes, and then I think it is Summer of Fear are probably the next two, but we'll have more information on that next week when we get closer. So thanks everybody for listening. Again, if you like what you hear, you want to hear more, you can go to deadairpodcast.net, find us on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever. I'm also on Twitter at deadairjeff, and Jesse is at Destroy Superman. So find us there. Send us emails at feedback@deadairpodcast.net. And if you're going to buy shit on Amazon, use our link on our site at deadairpodcast.net because we get money from it. And then it helps me to pay for this because I'm fucking broke because divorce and owning a house on one income is not easy. So that helps to pay for all of this fancy shit that you guys get, which includes stuff like what I'm about to play here. So anyway, it's been a good night. Jesse, thank you for hanging out. Everybody else, thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys later. And until next week, don't fucking die.
I see love that money just can't buy. One look from you, I drift away. I pray that you are here to stay. Anything you want, you got it Anything you need, you got it. Anything at all, you got it, baby. Every time I hold you, I begin to understand. Everything about you tells me I'm your man. I live my life to be with you. No one can do the thing you do. Anything you want, you got it. Anything you need, you got it. Anything at all, you got it, baby. Anything you want, you got it. Anything you need, you got it. Anything at all. I'm glad to give my love to you. I know you feel the way I do. Anything you want, you got it. Anything you need, you got it. Anything at all, you got it, baby. Anything you want, you got it. Anything you need, you got it. Anything at all, you got it, baby.